Alrighty then, time for a ride out on the motorbike, I think. The weather has sort of picked up. It's still a bit cold and windy, but look at that. Lovely blue skies. But there's a problem. Can you see what it is? I'll go in a bit closer. And a bit closer still. That's not supposed to be like that. I'm also fairly sure it's not meant to knock on there like that either. Yeah, that's just rubbing on that bit of metal. Right, let's get it fixed. Okay, right, yet another repair. You can probably tell from the title of the video. Yeah, we're going to be retensioning the chain, the drive chain. Let's try that again. So, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, we're going to be tightening up the drive chain on the motorbike. At least, I'm sitting here recording this bit now. I'm hoping that's what I'm going to be doing, but I may end up replacing it if it can't be tensioned back up. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. This job is a little bit beyond my knowledge and experience, really. Most of my knowledge and experience comes from cars. So far, the bits that I've been doing on the bike have been pretty straightforward, you know, wiring up indicators, yada yada yada. This I don't know too much about, so we're going to be sensible about this. We're going to check our Haynes manual. Here we go. Now, I love these things. I know some people hate them. Professional mechanics will say, "Oh, what have you all that?" They mock them all the time. Fuck the lot of you. I love them. I think they're brilliant. So, naturally, of course, there isn't one for Lifan motorcycles, especially not my exact model. We just have these Chinese, Taiwanese, and Korean 125cc motorbikes. If I'm honest, and you can tell just by looking at these, they're all very much the same design. That's how these things work, so this should do the job. Right, let's find the bit that we need. So, drive chain sprockets, one spanner. So, as the chain stretches away, adjustment will be necessary. A neglected drive chain... A neglected drive chain won't last long and will quickly damage the sprockets. Routine chain adjustment and lubrication isn't difficult and will ensure maximum chain and sprocket life. Okay. Just check the chain, place the bike on its centre stand where fitted, or on the side stand if not. Make sure the transmission is in neutral. Make sure the ignition switch is off. Push up on the bottom of the chain and measure the slack midway between the two sprockets. There should be between 10 and 25 millimeters of slack. I'm not going to go measure. It's quite obvious we're well outside of that. So yeah, that's fine. But that will be useful later, so we know if we've perhaps over tightened it. If I can't move it an inch, then we've got it too tight. So yeah, we want between 10 and 25 millimeters of slack, so I'll remember to take a ruler with me. Since the chain will rarely wear evenly, turn the rear wheel and push the bike forward so that another section of the chain can be checked. Do this several times to check the entire length of the chain and mark the tightest spot. Caution, the ride of the bike with excess slack in the chain could lead to damage of yourself. In some cases where lubrication has been neglected, that's not the case now. After the bike's been ridden, repeat the measurement for slack in the highlighted area. If the chain has kinked again and is still tight, replace it with a new one. Okay. Rusty, kinked or worn chain will damage the sprockets and can damage transmission bearings. If in any doubt as a condition of a chain, it is far better to install a new one than risk damage to other components and possibly yourself. Because motorbikes are dangerous, people. Inspect the drivetrain slider on the front of the swing arm for excessive wear and damage and replace it with a new one if necessary. It didn't look too badly damaged, we'll have a look in a minute. Right, so what we're going to have to do to fix this. So, adjust chain slack. Set the tightest spot of the chain at the centre of its bottom run. On drum brake models, that's mine, turn the rear brake free play, adjuster nut anti-clockwise. The rear brake free play adjuster nut. I mean, that does describe what it does, but yeah. Yeah, turn it anti-clockwise a few turns. See illustration. Alright, yeah, it's that thing, got a little chain. Yeah, my bike does have one of them as a little arm. Right, okay. Where fitted, slacken the nut on the brake torque arm bolt. There should be enough thread exposed between it and the split pin, but remove the pin if required, or if its ends are in the way. Okay, simple enough. Where fitted, remove the split pin from the end of the axle, slacken the rear axle nut. See illustration. Check the type of adjuster fitted to your model. Slacken the lock nut on each side of the swing arm and turn each adjuster evenly until the amount of free play specified in step 3 is obtained at the centre of the bottom run of the chain, which is between 10 and 25 millimeters. Following adjustment, check that each chain adjustment mark is equally aligned with the index mark on each side of the swing arm. It is important the setting is the same on each side, otherwise the rear wheel may be out of alignment with the front. Also, make sure that the wheel is pushed fully forward in the swing arm slots. If there is a difference in the positions, adjust one of them so that its position is exactly the same as the other. Check the chain free play again and readjust if necessary. When the adjustment is complete, counterhold the adjusters to prevent them turning and tighten the lock nuts. On drum brake molds, reset the rear brake adjuster. Alright, so it seems like what we do is we have to slacken the brake off, undo the nuts on the back wheel so that can move, and then we're just going to do these bolts so it basically pulls the chain tight. Once we've got it to the desired tightness, we tighten everything back down, making sure that the rear wheel doesn't end up cocked over. Or maybe that way, or, well, it wants to be that and nothing like that. Seems simple enough. Let's give it a go. Okay, right, let's get on with it. And yes, everything is all wet because it started raining whilst I was filming the introduction. So, a couple of hours have passed since I filmed that, and all I was in the upstairs bedroom. Right, so I'm only measuring the slack, not because I need to check if it is slack, but to see where the loosest part of it is. So, I've got me ruler. Oh. I'm going to get down on the ground here. I want to do my knees in. That's better. I haven't taken it out of its packaging yet because I'm actually saving this matting for a garage build later. But it'll do for now. There we go. There, like that. Oops, caught the other end of the chain. There we go. And we've got, what's that, 45 millimeters of slack. That's slightly out of tolerance. So, ever so slightly. Right, let's move it along a touch. To there. Check the slack now. Oh well, that's even slacker. Move it on a bit more. That's not so bad. That's only 40 mil. That bit that we've just done was about 60. Right. Right, put a new camera angle and you'll see what I'm seeing. So here's what I'm seeing. So I basically just put the ruler on the floor and hold it up, and just by convenience the chain was sitting at about the 200mm mark. As you can see now though, it's a bit below it. This is the slackest point, and basically all I'm doing is just moving it up and down like that. I've shifted my weight a bit on this mat now, so the ruler's moved up to 190, and all you do is just count. So if it moved to there, that's 20mm of slack. That's how you measure slack, really. You literally measure it. But that's way out. But we found the slackest point, and you can see in here, that's the chain guide that it said to check. There's no damage to it, but the chain's probably not supposed to just run clean across it like that. Alright, let's move on to the next stage. You could not be more in the way there, Muffin. Really. What are you doing? Come on. I can't stroke you, I've got oily gloves on, look. You're a ridiculous animal. Is that really where you're going? Alright, fine. We'll do the video with the dog. Now, this is the reason I don't mark these as tutorials, because, well, I'm not an expert, and I've just realised, first mistake of this job, I'm not looking for the loosest spot on the chain, I'm looking for the tightest. What is it, actually? What is it? Are you climbing on me? Oh, yeah, thank you. Thanks for sneezing all over me. You're a good boy, aren't you? Yeah? Go on. Right, go on, clear off you two. Go on. Look at my pants, Muffin. So, yeah, I've reset it. We found the tightest point on the chain. It's the same method as I used to just find the loosest point, but you're looking for the exact opposite. So, it says On the drum brake models, turn the rear brake free plate adjuster nut anti-clockwise a few turns, which is on the other side, so I've set the camera up wrong. Fucking hell, this is going well. So this is the adjuster here, so it says a few turns. Well, it doesn't exactly feel tight as it is. So let's just slacken this off by a few turns. Is that even coming off, or is that just turning the whole? That's just turning the whole cable. Right. There we go. Just do it by hand now. A few turns off. That's suitably slack. Right, next stage. And just like that, rain has stopped play. Fucking great. Never going to get this done. It is, however, if we look up there, through the window, looks a bit brighter. So hopefully this shower will pass and we can get on with it. Next stage is slackening off the rear axle. Yeah, hopefully we'll get there eventually. Alright, next stage is we need to slacken the axle nut. So, let's get it slackened off. Oh, I've lost my cup of tea now. Oh, never mind. Put it down somewhere. No idea what size this is. Is it that big? Nope. One day I'll get to use the big man spanner. Guess I'm just not old enough yet. Oh, you are joking. It's an 18mm and I only have 17 and 19. The fuck? I've only got 17 and 19 on my sockets as well. The fuck? Let's just see if we can do it with the 19. No, it's not. I'm not getting proper purchase. That doesn't want to go either. Alright, you approach. Here we go. Lovely 18. Alright, it's, yeah, it's fitting much better. Right. Do the other side. That's fucking great. The other side is a different size. What the actual fuck? This side is an 18, which I don't have in these two sets, and the other side is a 21, which I don't have in these two sets. The fuck is wrong with my life? Alright, it said slacken the rear axle nut, not remove the rear axle nut, so...
Number one, that's retract plank, not remove plank. Of course, sir.
I've done it as slack as I dare. Next stage is this jobby here. So it says to slacken the lock nut on each side of the swing arm, which is this outer little nut, and turn each adjuster evenly until the amount of free play specified in steps 2 and 3 is obtained at the centre of the bottom run of the chain. Okay, right, I'm going to guess 12. Ooh, close. It's a 13. Oh, there we go. Let's take that all the way out, do the other side. Okay, and turn each adjuster, which is nut B here, until the amount of free play is obtained. Okay, right. Make sure. I want to be tightening this. Yes, I do. That's the wrong bit of the spanner there, Stuart. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm going to move the camera and you see this. Watch the chain as I move this nut backwards and forwards. So if I loosen it off, look at that. If I tighten it up, which is what we're trying to achieve, with that you can actually see it tightening. How cool is that? So, I've left my gloves somewhere, fuck's sake. Found them. They were in the same place as my Earl Grey tea.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
By the way, if you're the sort of person that doesn't like Earl Grey tea, you're a monster. You need locking up. Right, what have we got there? Oh, that's better, look. And it will now go from, get the ruler flat, from 270 to, well, that's still a bit much. Okay, let's tighten a bit more. So that's sitting on 280, and if I push it up I can move it to 295. Alright, I'm going to do one more half turn. So I want to try and get it as close to that 10mm, which is the bottom end, as possible. So, one more half turn. And recheck. Spot on. So that is, if I push hard, I can get 15mm of slack out of it, but just lifting it up, I'm getting 10mm. Spot on. So next stage is to make sure that these line up either side. There's little marks here. Yeah, basically if this one is further back or further forward than the other side, then the wheel is going to be skew-if. Now, poor wheel alignment on a car, a lot of people don't notice. If it's really bad, the steering wheel will be off centre when you're going in a straight line. First they really know about it is when they go for an MOT and they fail because it's brushed the tyres off. Now, I have no experience with misaligned wheels on a motorbike, but I imagine it's much more pronounced, so let's try and get this right. Now, I've had to use the optical zoom on the camera, so I'm having real trouble getting the tripod in close enough here, but I shall just tell you what I can see. So, alright, there's a little yellow mark here, and the edge of it lines up with the back most. Right, let's see if there's a mark on the other side. There is, and it lines up in the same spot. Also, what you could call, say, top dead centre is lining up with mark number 4, which is there, which is doing on here as well. So, I mean, I may be 1/10 of a millimetre out. Let's just double check. Still spot on. Alright, happy with that, so let's lock down these lock nuts. Happy days. Right, and then tying these back up. So, what size was it again? That size, that was it. Fucking hell, I'm getting too old and decrepit for this shit. Yes, still sort of 10-12mm. Happy with that. Let's do the brake. Mustn't forget about that. Fucking hell. Oh, what size socket was it now? I think it was that one. You know, this is actually a really good time to A, have the dog in my lap, and B, to tighten this up, because if I'm honest, the back brake on this bike has always been a bit poor. It feels like I'm absolutely mashing down on the pedal, and I'm just managing a gentle stop. If I want anything harder, I find myself using the front brake. Now, I understand there is some debate in the biking world as to front versus back brake. I've heard some people never use the back brake, some people only use the back brake. I'm going with what my instructor told me to do on my CVT, which was to use the back brake, because, well, he's been riding twice as long as I've been alive, and he said use the back brake generally and use the front brake for, well, we only actually used it for the emergency stop during my CVT, so I'm going with that. If and when I get around to doing my full license, I don't know, maybe the instruction will change, but for now that's the instructions that I'm on, and this is what I'm sticking to. This isn't tightening up. I need a different tool for this. That is somewhat unhelpful muffin. I don't remember slackening this thing off so much. Maybe it was just really slack to begin with. Maybe I didn't need to slacken it off. I'm running out of adjustment on this, and it's only just getting to the point where I would consider it serviceable. That might have to be my next video, fitting a new bloody cable. Alright, that's not too bad actually. I mean, you can see the mark where it was. Yeah, okay, we've tightened that up a nice amount. That's still a bit slacker than I would want it. Alright, so I've just cut that bit there because, well, there was quite a bit more footage of me just sitting there and constantly fiddling with this cable. I tried all manner of ways to adjust it and get it tight. Probably longer than I really should have done with it. I should have realised much sooner that there was actually a problem with it and it wasn't just adjustment. As we find out a bit later though, I did eventually figure out what the problem was, but we'll see that in a minute. So yeah, we're just going to go in, yeah, just a little while later after I'd finished with it and I was sort of happy with how the brake cable was set up at this stage. So yeah, back to the video. So, I'm certainly happier with how that looks. For one, the chain is all nice, well, semi-hidden away behind the arm now, whereas before it just sort of hangs down. Spin it by hand, it looks and sounds a lot better. I'm going to try and get a short ride in before we completely lose the light, see how it sounds, see how it performs, how it feels, but I am ready to call that job's a good un. Hello, Stuart doing the edit again here. Just thought I'd insert a bit of a voiceover on this section as I time-lapse through the ride footage. If you've seen my video on why you should avoid budget action cameras for motovlogging, you'll know what I'm on about when I say the sound is terrible. Or if you've seen my review of my new action camera, the Acaso camera that I use for just general day-to-day filming nowadays, you'll also have seen the bit where I comment on recording sound whilst on the motorbike. I tell you what, I'll just cut to the sound now and you'll see what I mean, or you'll hear what I mean rather. Yeah, as you can tell, you do not want to be listening to that. So even if I time lapse it, it's still awful. But yeah, imagine if I played that at just normal speed. You'd all switch off. You'd all unsubscribe. I'd end up on -10 subscribers. So yeah, The ride out was, I'll say 50% successful. One problem is fixed, the other is not fixed and still a bit perplexing. So let's get back to the rest of the video. I'm going to talk soon about how the ride out went, how the chain adjustment's gone, how the brakes are doing. So yeah, let's get back to it. Well, I think that went quite well. Yeah, I went for a ride, I don't know, probably 10, 20 miles or something like that. So I just sort of rode down to Mildenhall, went around all the back roads a bit and then came back. The chain noise is gone. It was rattling quite a bit. There's still another rattle left on the bike, but it doesn't seem to be related. So we'll track that down in another video. One thing that has happened though, the fucking brakes don't work.
No brakes! No brakes! This is not stopping! Please stop!
It's really annoying. So if I press this pedal down, you see? So yeah, and I tried it. I tried putting the bike in neutral when I was doing about 50, stomped on the rear brake as hard as I could, and nothing happened. So yeah, I'm hoping it's something that I've done wrong, and I'm just going to make a bit of an ass of myself on the internet. I mean, it was working before I adjusted the chain, so it should still be working, but yeah, it's probably something I've done. The exhaust has cooled down nicely, so I have these lovely chrome shrouds over the exhaust, which are rusty to fuck and need restoring, but they do at least stay lovely and cool, so yeah, I can feel heat there, but that's nice and cool. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let me get this rear brake readjusted. Right, so that's adjusted more or less back to how it was before we tightened the chain up, and it's still no better. I can tell it's back to where it was because of the clean spot on this screw thread here, and it seems to be making no difference whatsoever. So the only logical conclusion that I can come to is that the cable is stretched out. The bit I'm having a hard time believing though is that it just so happens to have stretched out by such a huge amount just after I redo the chain. That's the bit I'm having trouble with. But all I've done is as I thought. I've now just loosened it so far off. I bring the pedal back to its normal resting position. You can see how much slack is in that cable now. Right, I'm giving up for tonight. We're starting to lose the light, and it doesn't seem to matter which way I adjust that back brake, it will not work. I'm confident now that I did adjust it the right way. I think it's the cable. I'll show you what I mean. Right, so this is the cable, and as I'm riding along, that's where it normally sits. It's a bit high, but whatever. And if you think you've got your foot on it, like that, bit of a weird angle, that's about as flat as you're going to be able to press it. But the back brake still isn't doing anything. To get it to lock, and I have to press it all the way down like that. And only now, if you look, is that back lever moving. So I think that cable's stretched. So we're going to order a new cable for it. But what's bothering me about this is, it seems like just a bit too much of a coincidence that I was farting around readjusting that back brake just as the cable's stretched out. Don't make a lot of sense to me. I struggle with coincidence. I mean, I was farting around with it and now it doesn't work. It might just be a coincidence. It might just be that it has stretched out. I need to go away and think about this. At least the chain works though. So we'll do the brake cable, if it is that, in another video. So for now, thank you for watching. I've broke my bike, so I'll see you next time. But wait, there's more. Alright, so bit of a time jump with this now. This was going to be a separate video, but I'll explain why it's not now. I finished filming The section that, from your point of view, is just a few seconds ago. From my point of view, is about a week or two ago now. And it was bothering me why this cable had gone so badly wrong so quickly. Because cables do stretch, but you're talking by like a few millimetre at a time over years. They don't just suddenly stretch out like an elastic band. So it was bothering me that it had gone wrong so quickly. And there's a local biking group that I'm part of as well. There's a couple of mechanics in the WhatsApp chat, and I was discussing it in there, and they said it don't really make sense either. So what I ended up doing, I didn't film it, but I was basically fighting around with this thing at about 11 o'clock at night by torchlight, trying to figure out why it's gone so far out of adjustment so quickly, because it just shouldn't have done that. And I eventually discovered that what was happening, this arm was the problem. That goes on there, and when I was applying the brake, it should just, pull, rotate this cog, and then that operates the drum brakes in here. It wasn't though, because it's rounded off. The little teeth that go on here are just completely smooth. So what was happening was I was applying the brake, and it was just rotating on this cog. And then when I released it, it stayed where it was. So no matter how much adjustment I put on this cable, it wasn't going to matter because we couldn't turn this, which is a problem. So we set about ordering a new one of these and a new one of these, which may be available separately, but I couldn't find one. And it was looking like we'd need this entire brake assembly. I found a place that said that they could deliver this entire assembly and the arm. Excellent, great price. Went to order it, and the shipping was more than the value of the actual item. And I was like, no, that's a bit of a rip-off. We're not going to do that, guys. So we started looking elsewhere. Found another place that had them in, that said they had them in stock. No pictures on the website though. Okay, bit weird. So emailed the chap and said, can you get me pictures of this and these three parts, because I need to know if it comes with this little spindle. Do I just need the plate, or do I need the entire assembly, or can you supply that separately? Guy replied pretty quickly and said, I'm away, I'll let you know in a few days when I'm back home. I'll send you the pictures. Anyway, waited. Emailed the guy again, said, did you get those pictures, because I want to get them ordered, ready for the coming weekend. Oh no, I've forgotten, I'm away again now. So let me know in another 3 days. Just remind me and I'll send you the pictures. Alright, fine. So wait another 3 days, that's my bank holiday weekend ruined. Email him, he goes, yeah, no, it's out of stock.
For fuck's sake!
Oh, thanks. You couldn't have told me that fucking 2 weeks ago, could you? So it would appear that this brake assembly and this little spindle aren't available anywhere. But luckily, this spindle doesn't look too badly worn. It is a little worn, but there's still teeth on it, not like this other thing. So what we're going to have to do, just down to parts availability, is just replace the arm. Now the arm does have some pretty nice teeth on it, and I've sort of tried it, and it does grip quite well, even before you tighten it up. So yeah, we're just going to put the arm on, adjust it all up nicely, and hopefully it'll hold up. One thing I did notice, I was going through all the old paperwork that I got with this bike. This isn't the original brake cable for it, which means this arm has been off before, and it's also had tyres done at the same time, which means that just wasn't tightened up properly. Hello Muffin, I know. And then because it wasn't tightened up properly, it's eventually let go, rounded the teeth off. If it had been tightened up properly in the first place, we wouldn't be having this issue. So once again, I'm cleaning up somebody else's handiwork. And the frustrating thing about that is, this was a garage that did this work. It was an invoice. Poor show there, guys. Never mind. Alright, let me go get my spanners and we'll get this bolted on, and hopefully I'll have working brakes. Oh shit. That's a fucking good start, isn't it? Alright, let's find a replacement. One trip to Screwfix later, and have to say, Screwfix in Mildenhall, they're great. They've never let me down. Highly recommend. Of course, it's impossible to buy a single nut and bolt, and I didn't have any in my stock, so here, how about a whole carton of cigarettes?
Then here, have a whole carton of cigarettes. What?
I don't actually know how many's in there. 100! I've got 100 of the fucking thing. I only wanted one. Whatever. Right, let's hope it fits through that. Yeah, lovely. Look at that. Well, it doesn't matter too much if I snap these now, because I've got 100 more. Let's just snap 99 of them, shall we?
If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a
Snap bolt.
ain't one.
There we go. That's about as tight as I dare go with that. I can tell just holding these up side by side, that's gripping much better onto that little spindle there. The teeth are visibly biting into it, which is good. That's what we want. So we just need to do up this cable now, and then hopefully I'll have working brakes. Wouldn't that be wizard? That is reaching maximum adjustment, and it's only just starting to tighten up, which is a little frustrating. Means I might need to take this off again. So let's do it a little tighter. What are you doing? Nothing. You can't. Bloody hell. Yeah, let's just give that a test. Alright, that's a bit worrying. It's kicking in okay, and I can put loads of pressure on the brake pedal, and this isn't moving, which is great. But when I come off it, this arm isn't returning to where it's supposed to be, so the brake is staying on. I'm sure as I was going along, that won't be as much of an issue, but does that then mean I'm going to have my brakes dragging? This is a pain in the arse. See what I mean? That can't be rotated, you have to pull it back that little bit further, and then it's okay. I'm also not overly impressed with how slack this cable is still. I think we need to take this arm off and rotate it one more tooth so I can get some proper tightness on this. This is a pain in the arse. I just realised something as well. A lot of people will just take this to a garage to get it done. The thing is, it would be physically impossible for a garage, for you know, any mechanic to do this job, because that requires two 10mm sockets, and everyone knows mechanics are always losing their 10mm sockets. So they'd be completely stumped. They just wouldn't be able to do up those two things. What's going on here, Muffin? Right, let's get the keys, and I want to see that this starts to bite as the brake light comes on. Right, let's go do that. You're going to have to get off my lap again, Muffin. I'll turn this. So it's, well, it's coming on, yeah. more or less. The brake starts to bite ever so slightly before the light comes on. Not overly concerned about that though, because I'm doing this with my fingers. When I'm braking with my foot, it's obviously nowhere near as sensitive. So yeah, and all that's just enough bite to stop a free spinning wheel. Obviously, when when the bike's in motion, I'm always going to need much more force than that. So yeah, that's fine. That'll do. Now I just want to see if that brake is going to bind on. So press it on, and that is stuck. But it's still possible to turn it. I'm going to start the bike, put it in gear, and see how it responds. Alright, so I don't know how obvious it was on the camera there, but the brake does bind ever so slightly. But I was able to put it in first and second and let the clutch out, and it was able to overcome it quite easily just on idle power. Even when I literally just dumped the clutch, I just let go of the lever and let it spring out. The bike didn't even come close to stalling, it just overcame it. So yeah, I think it is perhaps sticking and binding a bit, but yeah, it may just be that the bike's been stood for about a month now. I haven't been out on this for so long, so it may just need riding. I'll go out on a quick test ride in a bit, see how we go with it, but yeah, for now that looks like it is fixed. Yeah, I just want to give it one more try. I put my foot on and say I'm braking really hard. Good. That lever's not giving way. It's not even hinting that it's giving way. Good. Alright. So, brakes are working. Chain's tight. Okay, right. I think I'm back on the road. I've got a bike meet tonight as well. I was hoping to go on my bike and not in my Peugeot. Fucking hell. I need to remember how to ride this fucking thing now. Alright, yeah, we'll call that it for this one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video on doing stuff and filming it. Please don't forget to press the big button here in the middle to subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you liked what you just saw, please click the like button below and leave a comment letting me know what you liked about it. And as always, thank you for watching.